Hi everyone, welcome back to Betrayed. Thanks for joining us today. We have a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. It was a cool autumn evening when the cracks in my life started to appear. My wife, Claire, had gone out with her friends, at least that's what she told me, leaving me home with a bottle of wine and an old movie to pass the time. We had been married for 7 years, long enough to know each other's habits, routines, and subtle signs. But that night, something felt off. Her voice on the phone was unusually cheerful. Her laughter sounded forced. Still, I told myself not to overthink it. Claire came home just after midnight, giggling like a teenager sneaking in past curfew. Her cheeks were flushed, her hair slightly messy, and she smelled distinctly of another man's cologne. My stomach twisted, but I smiled and acted like everything was normal. Claire dropped onto the couch, kicked off her heels, and looked at me with a carefree grin. "You're in a good mood," I said, setting down my glass. "Yeah, it was a great night," she replied, her voice high-pitched and excited. "The girls and I had so much fun, nothing wild, just drinks and laughter." I nodded, watching her closely. Glad to hear it. As the evening went on, I noticed she avoided eye contact and held onto her phone as if her life depended on it. I started to feel suspicious, but said nothing. Confrontation wasn't my style. Not yet. I decided to wait and observe. After all, trust was the foundation of our marriage, or so I thought. The next morning, Claire was unusually cheerful. She hummed while making breakfast. Her phone buzzed several times, but she didn't check it. When she stepped out of the room, I couldn't help myself. My heart pounded as I picked up her phone and unlocked it. We both knew each other's passcodes, a small sign of trust that now felt like a cruel joke. The messages were undeniable. "Last night was amazing, Red Heart. I can still feel your touch." My vision blurred as I scrolled through the messages from someone saved as M. There were photos too, taken in a dimly lit hotel room. Claire was laughing, holding a glass, lying across a man I didn't recognize. In that moment, my world fell apart. The betrayal hit me like a punch, knocking the air out of me. I placed the phone back exactly where I found it and forced myself to stay calm. The anger would come later. For now, I needed clarity, a plan. Claire returned to the kitchen, completely unaware of what I had discovered. She kissed my cheek and handed me a plate of eggs, her smile as bright as ever. How could she pretend everything was fine after what she had done? In the days that followed, I became a ghost in my own home, watching, listening, quietly uncovering the full extent of her lies. The one-night stand, I quickly learned, was anything but that. Claire and had been meeting for months, stealing moments I thought belonged to us. The fury boiled under my skin, but I didn't confront her. Not yet. I focused on collecting proof, saving messages, screenshots, photos, even receipts she carelessly left in her purse. My plan began to form, and with it came a quiet sense of satisfaction. Outwardly, I remained the same loving husband. I cooked her favorite meals, laughed at her jokes, and even planned a weekend getaway, just the two of us. Claire seemed relieved, as if my kindness erased her guilt. Little did she know, I was carefully setting the stage for her downfall. The weekend trip was my masterpiece. I booked a cozy cabin in the mountains, secluded and scenic. Claire was overjoyed, talking nonstop about how much she needed the escape. I packed everything with care, making sure nothing was left behind. Even my new hiking equipment, a hobby I'd recently picked up, came with us. She didn't question it. The first night was beautiful, at least on the outside. We sipped wine by the fireplace, talked about our early years, and even danced under the stars. But my thoughts were elsewhere, focused entirely on the final steps of my plan. The next morning, I told Claire I wanted to take pictures of the scenery and suggested she sleep in. She agreed, curling up under the blankets as I grabbed my gear and stepped outside. Only I didn't go to take landscape photos. Instead, I set up hidden cameras around the cabin, carefully choosing angles that would capture everything I needed for my plan. When Claire finally woke up, I suggested we go for a hike, saying I'd found a beautiful trail nearby. She hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. We spent hours walking through the woods, and for a moment, I almost forgot the betrayal. Almost. Back at the cabin, Claire's phone buzzed nonstop. She glanced at it briefly, her expression turning to irritation. "Work stuff," she muttered, brushing off the notifications. But I knew better. That evening, I made her favorite meal and kept refilling her wine glass whenever it got low. She laughed freely, completely unaware of the storm quietly building around her. When she excused herself to use the bathroom, I picked up her phone from the counter and sent a single message to him. "Let's end this." Then I deleted the entire conversation, erasing all traces. By the time we returned home, Claire was back to her usual self, her laughter echoing through the house. But when she reached for her purse, her face suddenly turned pale. She rummaged through it frantically, panic rising with every second. "Where is it?" she whispered, her voice shaking. "What's wrong?" I asked, pretending to be concerned. "My wedding ring," she said, tears forming in her eyes. "It's gone." "Oh no," I replied, my voice full of fake sympathy. "When did you last have it?" She looked at me, her face filled with guilt and desperation. "I don't know. I must have taken it off somewhere." I had hidden it, of course. That ring, once a symbol of our love, was now a part of my plan for justice. The next day, I put my plan into action. I had prepared a file, carefully organized and filled with details of her affair. Photos, messages, even receipts. I left it on the kitchen table, knowing she would find it. When she did, the color drained from her face. "What is this?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "The truth," I answered. "Something you've been hiding from me for months." She started to speak, trying to explain, trying to defend herself. But I raised my hand, stopping her. "I don't want excuses, Claire. I want you to leave." Her eyes widened, tears falling down her cheeks. "Please, we can fix this. I'll do anything." "It's too late," I said firmly. "You made your choice, and now I'm making mine." I had already met with a lawyer. Everything was ready. The evidence I gathered ensured that the divorce would be quick and in my favor. The house, the car, even our savings, I would keep it all. Claire was completely blindsided. As she packed her things, crying uncontrollably, I felt no guilt. She had broken our vows, our trust. This was simply justice. In the weeks that followed, I began to rebuild my life, piece by piece. Claire, however, struggled. Had completely cut her off, disappearing without a word. She was left to deal with the fallout alone. Mutual friends distanced themselves, choosing to stand by me once they knew the truth. She lost everything. One evening, as I sat on the porch sipping a glass of whiskey, I thought about everything that had happened over the past few months. The pain of betrayal was still there, a dull ache in my chest, but so was a deep sense of victory. I had taken back control. I refused to live as a victim. Claire's laughter no longer haunted me. It had been replaced by something new, my own. A laughter born from freedom, strength, and the sweet taste of revenge.